it's time for Genre Blend Comp Club. I feel like it's been so long. The thing with doing this only every quarter is it's like, oh, we're back. Yay! We're here. And we're going to be discussing, I feel like, honestly, the most popular book of the moment, the book that is everywhere on the internet. Thank you, Julie, for picking this at the right time, at the right moment. It is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love that we all had it with us.
I love how your copy is different and it has the blue.
My copy is different, and I don't know how this occurred.
Did you get it from Indigo?
Yes.
That would be why. I think
Indigo exclusive right on the back.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I do have bonus content at the end of mine. This is true. There's things all about the space station.
Not the bonus content.
We're going to talk about that, friends, about my thoughts on that. But I have whole diagrams about the space station at the back of mine. Anyway, we're here to talk about Atmosphere. We are going to keep this spoiler free for a few minutes, and then we'll dive into spoilery thoughts as we go. But let's just start with should we start with a game or with our star ratings? Where do you all
maybe ratings and then game?
Then the game? Okay, because the game can be done for spoiler free too, which is great. So for Atmosphere, let's go around. We're going to say what we rated it, and we won't go into too much why, but I would like to know if you thought it was a good blend of historical fiction and romance, or if it leaned more heavily one way or the other. So Julie, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I will start off by saying I did finish this today, so there could be a little recency bias here by saying that I'm going to give it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it and had a great time with it. As far as a genre blend, I do think that it leans more historical fiction, but we do get a good amount of romance for it being predominantly historical fiction, in my opinion.
Kels?
I gave it a 4-star. I thought it was a good blend. I do think it was a tiny bit more historical, but then the romance kind of picked up at certain points, and it was more romance focused. So I do think overall it was a good blend. I kind of like both genres a lot, like romance and historical fiction. Mm-hmm. So the whole time it felt like it was a good blend to me.
Brooklyn?
I gave it a 5-star. Kind of leaning more towards 4.5, but I had the best time with this. I do think that it leaned more towards historical fiction, especially the first half, and that's kind of why my rating lowered a little bit, because I didn't enjoy the first half as much as the second half, but no, had a good time.
And I agree with everything Brooklyn just said. I gave it a 4 because the first 100 pages, I'm not going to lie. The first 100 pages was hard for me, friends. It was hard. The first 100 pages was very historical fiction. And then when it does, I think Kelsey's really right that there's like a big chunk of historical fiction. Then it does lean real romance.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit of time where like it's a blend of the two. So like it does blend it really well, but it blends it almost like in chunks.
Yeah.
Which is a different way to do it, but like is still a perfectly legitimate way to do a blended set of genres. Mm-hmm. Before we go into anything else, I'm just going to say hi to Reid. Reid loved it so much and gave it a 5-star. We have Kelly here. Hi. Leandra's here. Yes, friends, let us know what you gave it. And that you're here. Just let us know. Say hi. Mm-hmm. I know Leandra hasn't read this yet, but is curious. So it's just here lurking. Hello, Jen. Love this so much. Did you give it a 5, Jen? Okay. So we have a little game to play before we dive too far into this, because I was looking up things for the book today and noticed that the publishers of the book had actually put out a little quiz that you could do to find out what type of astronaut are you. Would you be most suited for mission control or most suited for spacewalking? So basically, are you a Joan or are you a Vanessa? Basically, is the question that we are coming to. Hello, Bethany. It made you cry. That's totally fair. I could see that. I could see that. 5. Haven't read it yet? Well, we're glad to have you. Okay, so basically every question has an A answer or a B answer. You're going to have to keep track of which you give it, because at the end you have to calculate how many A's and B's you've given out. So if anybody needs to grab pens or things to write these things down, which I knew this was coming and did not do that ahead of time, go me. It's not like I planned it or anything. And okay, so the first one is, when faced with a complex problem, do you prefer to A, analyze the situation thoroughly and plan a detailed solution, or B, jump in and start working hands-on to find a solution? Everybody give us your answers. Are you an A or a B as we go? I'm definitely an A.
A.
Me too.
I'm more of a B.
Definitely. There's no question. I'm an A. Rainy's a B. You
Yeah,
know what?
we
That
knew
doesn't surprise me at all that Rainy and I would be on opposite sides of this. Because I feel like that's like our friendship. We would cover so many things well together because we are so opposite. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
B.
complement each other.
Exactly. Me and Rainy could take on the world together. An A. In a team setting, do you find yourself A, preferring to work independently and focus on your task, or B, engage actively with team members and adapting to group dynamics? I think
I'm so an A.
That's what I mean. I think I'm probably more of an A.
Yeah.
I'm an A.
I'm so bad at it.
A, B, A. Literally, we're the next world leaders. I mean, we can't do any worse than people are currently doing right now. So,
I was gonna say, I'll take you guys.
I'm curious if you and Rainy will literally answer everything opposite. So far, you have. So.
I think we will.
Yeah,
I think we actually will.
And you and I are answering everything the same. So you can really
That doesn't surprise me at all in any way, shape, or form.
no.
Actually, I'm not surprised that like me and Brooklyn are also answering exactly.
Yes.
The same. And I'm not surprised Julie and Rainy are something.
Yeah.
This makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, everyone. I need to star the comments because all the comments are the same and I don't remember which B's I've clicked and which A's I've clicked. And I'm like, oh, I need to star these after every question. Okay. How do you handle stress in high pressure situations? Do you A, remain calm and focused using logic to navigate challenges? B, you thrive on the adrenaline and adapt quickly to changing circumstances? In this case, I'm a B. I'm a B in this case because this is how my anxiety works. I am great in a crisis. I am fabulous in a crisis. Later, I'm a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But like, thank you, Leandra. This is very helpful comment, honestly. Rainy and I are the same. Look.
I'm A.
I think I'm A as well.
I think I'm more of an A.
Look at that. I've deviated from the group this time.
Yep.
B. Jen's an A again. Hello, Tasha. How are you? And a B. Okay. When organizing tasks, do you A, create a detailed plan and prioritize meticulously, or B, prefer a flexible approach, adjusting as you go? Absolutely not.
I'm B in this case. You know me. I don't write a lot of lists. It's
I
all in my
know.
head.
I would be lost without a list. I would be left alone. Brooklyn, Julie?
I feel like I'm a mix because I try to write a list, but I never stick to it. So I think I'm gonna have to say B.
That is so
I'm
true.
the same.
That is very true.
Never
A
can
good mix.
stick to it. I'm
That's
kind of a
fair.
mix.
Yeah, because I do try lists. I just like often they end up in my head, and like whenever I try them, they don't work.
I am a great list follower. I'm fabulous at it because I'm lost. I cannot make decisions for myself. No. Ooh.
Yeah.
I do love that Leandra is now just like the monitor of the comments. And I love that.
We appreciate it.
We really do. It's very helpful to me clicking comments. Honestly, it's very, very helpful. A, B. Hello. Right. Love the idea of a list. The idea and execution, right?
Mm-hmm.
A for peace of mind, but things can change. I can go with the flow. That's fair.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Okay. Do you consider yourself more? I feel like we're all going to answer this the same way because I can see what the two responses are, and we'll see. Do you consider yourself more an introvert, in detail-oriented, enjoying structure and environments, or be an extrovert and adaptable, enjoying dynamic environments? I am an introvert.
Same.
Yes, same.
You make content on the internet, so we don't have to go outside.
Uh-huh. About books.
Reading. The other day I went to a silent reading party. Like, Ayland.
You can't get much more introverted than that.
Literally, you can't. A, B. Rainy can be both A and B. This is very true. Extroverted, extrovert. That's very true.
I feel like we're all like extroverted at times, probably, or with certain people or whatever. But like all in all, I think most of us are introverts
overall.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of physical activity, do you? I feel like we're all about this. This is going to really call us all out here. But prefer tasks that require more mental focus and precision, or B, enjoy activities that require physical strength and agility.
I don't even know what that is.
What is exercise? I do not understand. Leandra, you're the best. See, Rainy and I are even in this case opposite. That makes sense because you do a lot of physical activities. Like you do Pilates, you do circus, like you are very active.
Even your music, Rainy, is like, yeah.
Yes. Could not be me. Could not be me. None of the above. What if neither suits your person? Okay. When achieving goals, do you A, focus on the process and ensuring everything is done correctly, or B, focus on overcoming challenges and achieving results? That's a hard one. I feel like those are really hard.
Like both?
I'm probably more of an A, but I could be a B.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm more of a B. I get lost in the process sometimes trying to get done.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I'm not as good about each step.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The comments are A mixed as well. I feel like this
I
one
would
is
say
more
A
of,
for me.
if there was a C, all of the above, I would be the C. Okay, this is the last one. How do you approach unexpected challenges? Do you A, by identifying the specific problem and finding a logical solution, or B, by adapting quickly and using practical skills to resolve issues? I'm probably an A. I think I'm an A.
Yeah, I would say B in this one.
I think I'm an A.
I feel like those last two questions were really similar.
Yeah.
Like it just depends, you know?
Yeah. Every situation is different. It's hard to.
Yeah.
Although Rainy and I, again, opposite.
Shocking.
Shock. B, A. Okay, so I put that down before I told you to add them up. Okay, so add up your A's and B's. If you are mostly an A, you are assigned to mission control. Jobs at mission control require individuals to be calm, highly organized, analytical, and detail-oriented. If you are mostly B, suit up for your first spacewalk. The role is best for people who are physically strong, practical, achievement-oriented, and adaptable. Rainy, you're going to the moon, basically, is what I mean.
Yes.
I didn't even have to add them up. Mine was like A, like mostly A.
Yeah.
I have one B.
Same.
I have one B as well. I was like, no.
One B. I'll sit in control. That feels right to my spirit. Because truly, if you told me I had to go to space, I'd be like, absolutely not. That will not go over well. No.
That also lines up with who I identified more as a character.
Agreed. Yeah. I'm so much more a Joan than a Vanessa. Yes. Agreed. Okay. Hold on. Where are we? Yay, I'm going to space. Rainy. Yes. I agree that mission control makes sense for Leandra as well.
Yes.
Yes, but we already knew that.
Yeah.
You really would be. You'd be like down for it. We will cheer you all on. You are a Vanessa. I agree. I feel like that makes sense that I'm a Joan and you're a Vanessa. Yeah. I knew I was mission control before I took the quiz. Truly, if that had turned out that I was going on the spaceship, I'd be like, this quiz is broken. Like, so broken. Absolutely not. Definitely be. Okay. I think at this point, we will probably ride the line of spoilers. There is a possibility for spoilers at this point, friends. So if you do not want spoilers, I stay at your own risk. At this point, we love you all and we're glad that you're here and thank you so much, but we don't want to spoil the book if you still plan on reading it. So let's talk about atmosphere. Yay. Okay, so for me, I think let's talk about how it is more historical fiction, as we said, because I do think it is a good blend, but as we all agreed, it is a bit more historical fiction than it is romance. Although the romance in here, honestly, if I were to score the first 100 pages of this book, I would have DNF'd this book. That's how much it leaned historical fiction.
Yeah.
So the fact that it got like a very high 4-star for me just shows how great the romance was once it kicked in.
Yeah.
Like it kicked in and it got my attention. But let's talk about the historical fiction aspects of this book, because we were slightly talking about this backstage and I was like, hold this conversation. This is one we want to have forward facing. So the first 100 pages of this book to me felt like trying to learn everything possible about the space missions of the 1980s. I was like, I don't need to know this much. Surely I don't need to know this much.
And I was living for it. I was like, okay, like I don't know much about space. I'm learning new things about this. It didn't get too space heavy, in my opinion, where I was like lost, which I was worried about.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I kind of learned a few new things about space, and it really made me feel like I was like actually there. So
totally fair. Yeah, I do think it was explained very well, which is nice, which maybe was why I thought it was too heavy, because I was like, I don't need to know all this information.
Yeah.
For the story to make sense. Like, surely I don't need all these numbers and acronyms. Like, there's just no way. But okay, Julie, what did you think?
I do think I didn't feel so much that we were leaning into space. I just felt like we were setting up Joan's life a lot. So like I enjoyed that, but it was sort of like, okay, we're meeting her family, we're meeting, all the astronauts, and they're all sort of blending together, and so it was very like, we are doing a lot of setup in this time, but I did like how it was explained, and I really liked the first 100 pages. I was just like I was just hanging out. I was like, oh, I love this.
And I think this is interesting because I have us set up as team romance and team historical fiction. And I know Brooklyn and I both struggled with the first 100 pages and you two didn't, which is really interesting to see how that laid out. And Bethany, this comment, I didn't put this together, but you're so correct. Absolutely did.
I said this to people too.
Maybe I should read that book then.
No, Kels.
I know, I don't think I would like it. That's why I was like
very sci-fi, Kels.
Oh, that's true.
I know. Going into this, I was like, if this is too spacey, like it's gonna be a goner for me.
Yeah.
I will say it does, now that you say this, it does remind me of the in-depth knowledge that I got about poop potatoes. And I was like, yeah, like it's too much. Like I don't actually need to know how the science works to do that for this book to make sense. Exactly. Which is probably why I'm not a big historical fiction reader, because I just don't like appreciate those levels to the story where like historical fiction readers clearly do. So like I'm not the main demographic for that. Hold on, I'm gonna scroll back up, but I had to highlight Bethany's one because I was like, yes, this is this is accurate. You don't like historical fiction, but you love this book. That's really interesting, actually. Didn't come off spacey for me. I was vibing. Kelsey and I are on the same wavelength. Literally, I didn't even try Project Hail Mary. I tried The Martian, and I got to multiple pages on poop potatoes, and I went, I'm done. I cannot. I can't. But I'm excited for the movie. Oh, Project Hail Mary is getting a movie. Yes, it's true.
Nice.
I think this would be really well adapted. This was a comment I was going to get to many minutes down this live show, but since we're here, we're going to talk about it now. It's like, it really feels like a movie. Like,
and I'm surprised as far as I know, none of her books have been adapted.
I don't think so.
Daisy Jones. Daisy Jones.
Right. How did I forget? Yes.
Yeah.
I even watched that.
Evelyn Hugo is being made into.
Okay.
That'd
be a good one as a movie, or
yeah.
I feel like they all would be make good movies. Like just the way she writes a book would work really well as a movie.
Not as much her backlist romance, but definitely like her newer stuff for sure.
Starting from like Daisy Jones forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why they're doing it in that order, because they did Daisy Jones first if they're doing Evelyn next.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Like technically that's the order they came out.
Yeah.
Don't read sci-fi, but love Project Hail Mary. I do read sci-fi.
Yeah.
And I haven't gone near this one, but they definitely could make a Carrie Soto movie. For sure. But yeah. So, okay. But one thing I did really appreciate in that first 100 pages was the feminism that is steeped through this book about a woman entering STEM, particularly in the 80s. But honestly, let's be honest, we haven't come as far as we would like to. So I'm going to go with it's probably not that exaggeratively different, even now, 50 years later. 40 years later? 45 years later, still
45, yeah.
A long time later. But how did you feel like she tackled that in this book? Anybody who wants to take it.
I feel like really well.
I wasn't sure if I was gonna.
Silence.
We're all about
no one wants to.
We're like, who's gonna take it?
Thank you, Brooklyn, for breaking the ice on that one.
No, I really liked how there were multiple strong female heroines, and they were all so different as well, and they reacted differently to men and their like just them being misogynistic. So I really, really enjoyed that. I really liked Lydia and her character.
I know.
And how Joan came to understand that not everyone kind of understands the same way she does about misogyny, and like how they're just trying to get through and get what they want out of men in any way that they can. So I really liked that, and just like the resilience of all of them, like pushing through in that type of career with horrible, horrible men.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I really liked how you pointed out that like all of them came at it differently, because you had Lydia who would like cut somebody down in order to move forward, like that. She's just very solely focused on the task at hand and what she wants to do. And then you had almost like the polar opposite with Donna, who was moving the needle forward for feminism, but also showed that you can do all the things in your job, but still have a family, still have the things that you want in other ways. So you saw kind of the two almost extremes. And then you had like Vanessa and Joan kind of somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and there's also the other aspect of, I can't even remember Joan's sister's name off the top of my head.
Barbara.
Yeah, how like she acts and how she's like really values really wanting to find a husband and stuff like that. So you also get that side, which isn't really like a feminism thing, but it also goes to show how like different people think. And like, you know, back then it was like probably a bigger deal to get a husband. Like a single mom was like frowned upon, and you had to get a husband. And, you know, she felt like once she, you know, found, I forget whatever his name was.
Daniel?
Yes, Daniel. She was like, yes, this is my chance to kind of have a family and, you know, make things right. So there was also that aspect too.
Yeah, and even though Barbara was like the worst parent ever, truly.
She added to the story though.
Totally. And I do think that's a really good point of like, even though Barbara was probably not meant to be a mother, it would have been very like hard to be a single mother in that time. And how much of that kind of played into how she became, because she was basically probably like vilified for having a child at her age in the situation that she had. You don't know, right? You kind of have to look at people and see how they get where they get, because everybody gets there somehow, you know. Now some people, Barbara, might be a little naturally selfish, but
yeah.
Julie, do you want to add into that before we move on to the next one?
I just liked how many conversations the women had with each other about what was happening, like how I think it was Donna and Lydia and Joan had that conversation where they were like, well, if one of us messes up, it's all of us.
That's right.
Like just those conversations that they were having, and how Joan would like have conversations with the other women to like be like, we have to be Lydia's friend, we have to support her, like even if she's being awful, like, you know, like I just appreciated how we like talked about it. It wasn't just like in the background. It was on pages. It was explicitly like talked about.
Well, even how they talked about the first woman astronaut that went, because they were watching, I think it was Sally, which I do think is the actual first female astronaut to go to space. I think that is historically accurate. I'd have to double check, but I feel like that is true. And would make sense that like they wouldn't make one of them like a fictional character. They would honor the first, that Taylor Jenkins Reid would honor the first person that actually went to space and have them come like after. But that like if she did one thing wrong, we are never going to space. Like it sets us all back so far, even though all these men do things wrong all the time. Yep. They're allowed to make multitudinous mistakes, and it doesn't reflect on any of the other ones of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally drove me crazy just being one of the men instead of getting men to accept the women. Yeah, I think she also like, I don't know. I feel like Lydia, her just social skills were very different from the other people. So I think she probably just settled into what was like the easiest conversation to settle into, which would have been the men's conversations, just because they were probably, well, they were less nuanced because they were.
Yeah, and I do like that there was like a bunch of different characters, because in real life this would happen. You would have one woman who's not like standing with the woman that kind of wants to impress the men or kind of be one of the guys or like that kind of thing. So I do think like the different characters were very important, because like it was very realistic, I felt. So
totally. For me right now, I'm currently rewatching Bones with my patrons, and Lydia really felt like Temperance Brennan to me in a lot of ways. And especially like as she grows through the series, like from season 1 to later, you can see Lydia kind of like going to Joan and being like, you need to tell me what I'm missing. Like I can't see what I'm missing. I don't understand. I don't understand this social give and take that I seem to need to have here. So somebody needs to show me this, because I like innately don't have that or don't understand it. And like luckily she's surrounded by these strong women who are willing to like help her versus being like, no, we're going to go ahead of you and not help you figure this out for my benefit, you know? Reading a nonfiction about the Challenger. Ooh, that's a hard one. Yeah. But yeah, that's a hard one, because that's a very tragic story. I bet you it's really interesting though.
Yeah.
And of how NASA made major changes to the roles of the Shutter program to allow recruitment of women and POC was really interesting. That does sound really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna write that down, actually.
Yeah. I'm not surprised they were wildly misogynistic. That does not surprise me at all. I feel like, you know, anything that is, I feel like when you think of even like astronauts, there's so few female astronauts that it does come off as like a boys' club in a lot of ways. So I think it's a really interesting space to look at feminism, women in science, how they're underestimated just across the whole, even though we know that happens in like every area of women in science.
Yeah.
Now, obviously in this book, we have a lovely romance, which I love, because truly I wanted to enter the 1980s to stand and recreate the world for Vanessa and Joan. I don't know if anybody else had that feeling, but I just wanted it to be different so that they could be who they wanted to be.
But so funnily enough, I didn't actually know. I knew there was a romance, but I don't read synopses before I go in. And when you asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. I didn't read the synopsis. So I literally, for the first like 50, I don't know, to like 75 pages maybe, I thought that the romance would be between Joan and
Griff.
Griff. Yeah. And then so I thought it was actually a spoiler that Vanessa and Joan got together. But it's certainly not. It's on the but it was leading up. Like I wasn't totally like shocked, but it like led up. But I
just love it. It's literally a love story.
No, I knew there was a romance, but I didn't know that it was. Yeah, I thought it was Griff and Joan.
Fair.
So,
that kind of like helps us see how much of a genre blend it is, because if I didn't know there was a romance in this, I feel like the first 100 pages I would have thought there is no romance in this, or it's going to be just so that because it's like it's a slow burn, but like extremely slow that you don't even know it's happening at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it had to be that way in this instance, and I think it worked really well because obviously at the start of this book, Joan is really discovering herself in a lot of ways, not just in her sexuality, but also in her sexuality. Vanessa is obviously a little bit further in her self-discovery, but in just her discovery of what she wants to be within her family, what she wants her life to look like she's coming into her own so much. That I think it would have been really odd to like jump right into. It would have felt disingenuous. You would have been like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Where it happens so slowly that like the whole time you were like, I just want to make this so that they can have the love that they want. Like I just wanted to go in and like burn the world down for them, and I couldn't, which was very frustrating. Luckily, the people around them, most of them, not all of them, were very lovely, because obviously we had Donna, who very early on kind of clocked the situation and was very opening in her own way, not necessarily saying anything, but just making it very obvious that like, I'm your friend.
Yeah.
We're here. We're family. And they did kind of make a found family.
Yeah.
This group of
That's
astronauts.
one of my favorite things about the book was the found family and just how they all kind of formed. And I think the dual POV as well, like it made it so much more heartbreaking. Like you don't know these characters at the start and you're like, this is a high pressure situation. What's going on? And then when you get to the end and it's all happening and you know these people now, it just kills you. Like it just was done so well, I think, with that dual timeline and the found family. Like you come to love them and so it was I still remember when I realized who each person was. I was like, oh my god.
Yes.
It hurts.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you imagine being on Earth communicating to the person who is your entire life, like outside of Frances? I would say, okay, like Frances is her entire life.
Yeah.
Is a very close tie. But like, obviously your kid comes first. And in my mind, Frances is Joan's kid. I know technically she's Barb's, but like birth mothers, and there's two types of mothers in this world, and we see both of them in this book. I think we see birth mothers with Barbara, and we see like the one that shows up every day for you, which is a whole other side note that I will get. We're going to talk around everything because it's all intermingled. But could you imagine being on Earth? Your person's in space. You know the situation is bad. Like everyone in that room and everyone knows. They're all smart people. They're all very intelligent. They know how the space system works. They've gone through so much training. They know it's bad. And you're just having to remain like very calm. Also, you can't let on that this is your person because you're literally not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? We're all like, I don't know. It's too hard.
I know. Like, especially when they couldn't tell her that Griff died.
Yeah.
I was like, how would you handle this? How would you lie to her when there's only now one person left and she has to take care of all of this? I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense they wouldn't tell her because obviously they need her to remain like level-headed. It's almost like, I mean, I'm currently again watching Grey's Anatomy, and like sometimes they'll like be in surgery and something will happen to somebody and they're like, don't tell them, they're in the middle of doing like good work. We can't distract them. And I'm like, that makes sense. But like also just being it like Griff too, being the one that like goes so suddenly like that, because like honestly, Griff is such like a sweet character in this book.
Yeah.
He's just so sweet.
He's wonderful.
He's so wonderful because he really does love Joan. Like he really loves Joan.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes the entire situation, even him being like, I thought you were, but they're like talking around it because again, it's taboo at this time in the 1990s. They're not going to talk about the fact that she's gay, but he's like, I thought you might be. And I'm fine, but I'm going to need a minute because I love you. Like I accept you, but I love you. And now I'm hurt. So I need a minute, you know, and he has his minute and then he, you know, steps back, but then he's gone and it's very sad.
Yeah.
They kill so many people in this book. It's truly.
I knew I was in trouble with this book when we were on page 75 and I was weeping.
Oh,
Weeping. I was like, oh, this is just gonna get worse.
it's just gonna get worse. Yeah.
It got worse. It got worse. I will say I never full out cried in this book, which is surprising. I don't know how, but I did get emotional during the part of the book where June goes to get Francis from school. When she finally is like, I'm done. Like, we are not doing this any longer. And when Francis calls her and starts crying on the phone, I was a little bit like, can someone please go get this child? Like, someone needs to, I don't care who at this point. Someone just needs to go get this child. Yeah. So let's talk about Francis and Barbara. And because that's a whole part of this book that I wasn't expecting, honestly. I think that was, I knew there'd be the sciencey part. I knew there would be the feminism part, because obviously you can't really talk about women in NASA in the 1980s and not cover some form of feminism in a book. Like, it would be very hard to skirt around that. I knew we would have the romance, but I did not know we were going to have such a strong familial, outside of even the found family, but obviously we had the found family. How do you think that played into this book with Joan, with Vanessa, with Barbara, all of it? How do you think that played into the book? You are not the only one. If you go on TikTok, you can see everybody boo-hooing at the end of this book, which is weird because my next question was how everybody reacted to the high. So, like, we'll that in a minute. It made Rainey shed a tear, friends.
Yeah, wow.
Me too. I was also really proud of Joan.
That's not shocking if you cried, Brittany. Did you?
No.
Oh. Okay. Rainey cried and Brittany did not cry. That is a shocking occurrence.
I don't know if I'm wondering, this is a side note, friends, but I also did not cry when I read Sunrise on the Reaping last month. And I'm like, am I broken? Have I just lost the ability to cry at books?
Maybe, or just there's certain things that make you cry. Maybe if you like relate to it, or maybe that's what it is. Potentially.
I also think that I need the emotional impact of not knowing what's coming. And I think with this book, I knew what was coming. Because obviously we're very early on, because we've got the two timelines. So really early on, this is bad. Yeah. Like, bad things are happening. No, not everyone's surviving this book. Like you know that really early on. And the same with Sunrise on the Reaping. It's like, we know what happens. It's a so there was nothing to be like, surprising to me. But we've got off. What did everybody think of Francis and Joan and
I missed. So it's just about Francis and Joan, their relationship.
Yeah, and Barbara.
I thought I didn't like Barbara at all. I thought she was a bad mom. And I really loved Joan and Francis' relationship. I thought it was like really cute. And Barbara just pissed me off many times.
Barbara was a treat.
Yeah, but I think she added to the story in the sense that like it shows, what I was saying earlier, where single mom, like wanting the husband to have the perfect family look, and she really cares about how she's perceived. And I think that aspect was necessary, especially how she wasn't accepting of Joan. And so I do think that it was needed, because that would be realistic of, back in the 80s. Yeah.
I also think Barb was super jealous of Joan. In so many ways.
She thought I don't remember exactly what was said, but she definitely thought like Joan was smarter than her, and she, with the space thing, like she definitely had some jealousy there for sure.
I feel like we didn't see their childhood very much, but I feel like, when you have two siblings and you see people like one's the pretty one and one's the smart one, and they talk about the kids that way. And I feel like that was ingrained in these two, very early on.
So they're almost like, well, Joan actually didn't have jealousy, but like a lot of times with sisters, like they're jealous of each other, but it doesn't sound like Joan had jealousy of Barbara, in my opinion.
I'm going to take it like a step further and say Barbara was just a bad person.
Agreed.
She wasn't just a bad mom. Like, because we talked about like their family dynamic growing up and everything. And like, Barbara gaslit Joan her whole
Yeah.
life.
the whole time.
And like was completely toxic to anything. Like Joan's half sheltered because they did what Barbara wanted all the time. Joan couldn't find herself because everyone catered to Barbara.
And I'm shocked Joan didn't have resentment because of that. It didn't seem.
Right.
I think she did. I think that big blow up that we have at Thanksgiving was her
But
final.
for a while, it seemed like she didn't. Yeah.
I think she pushed it down because I think she knew that if she ever said anything to Barbara, Barbara would cut her off from Francis.
Right.
Yeah.
Barbara didn't really care about Francis. She cared about her. So at the end of the day, I think she would have easily hurt Francis, and we saw this.
You're right. Yeah.
In order to get back at Joan. Yeah. Even if it hurt her daughter in doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like throughout the book, you never see Barbara foster Joan and Francis's relationship for their own benefit.
Just
it's
like a baby
always for Barbara's benefit.
Yeah.
Yep. It's always when Barbara needs somebody to watch Francis.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think she was very jealous of not only Joan's work, Joan's life, but Joan's relationship with Francis. Even though Barbara did nothing to have that kind of relationship with, she just wanted it to naturally occur. Which is not how relationships work.
Yeah. And I found that Francis was very much more like Joan, actually, shockingly.
Was.
Like, not shockingly, I guess, but like definitely more like Joan, which was nice to see that, like, even though Barbara was a bad mom, Francis was still going to probably grow up to be a good person. So that was nice.
And I think like it would be really interesting because I know in this book they were very dead set on Francis not knowing about Vanessa being anything but a friend. But I think Francis would have been very much like open to Vanessa being a part of her family because she loved Vanessa so much. And also kids tend to be more open-minded than any set of human people in the world because they don't have those pre-existing notions that society has put on them that things are that's wrong or whatever. Like they don't have that. So they're so much more open and so much more loving and joyous and they're clean slates and don't have all the bad stuff of the world put on them yet. So I would have liked to have seen that of like, maybe like, I think this book, an epilogue would have been great.
I usually hate epilogues, but I do agree in this case.
I'm like, we just end with the high. And I'm like, but what happens when she gets back to Earth?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the high. The high. Because truly, I thought Vanessa was dead the whole time. I was like, she's died. Yeah. The whole time I was trying not to get too attached. I was like, don't get too attached, even though I love these people.
But I was kind of like, dead. It has to go up, right? A little bit. Like back to back, people are dying, and then she dies too, and that's it. Like, you can't leave readers that like heartbroken, right? I felt like she might survive just because I was like, it can't end like that.
I mean, like, I'm glad it didn't.
Like that would be too much on us as me too. I'm glad it didn't. But I was like kind of like having a feeling that like, okay, she can't just like do this to us and then, you know, because it was getting down on the pages and I was like, okay, like this can't happen.
Literally, there's like one page left, and we're like, is she dead or alive?
Yeah. No, but I've done that, Brittany, and that might be why you didn't cry, because I've done that. I've been like, I know something's coming, and I've convinced myself I'm not attached enough, and then I don't get like as emotional.
It might be that the entire time, like because I knew like from the first page that Vanessa was the love interest, unlike Kelsey. So like when we are having this moment, what, like 3 page? How early in do we know that all crap has hit the fan? Real early.
Very
like
quickly.
Chapter 1 or 2, yeah.
I'm looking. Yeah, it's chapter 1.
Yeah, I was like,
the entire time I was like, do not get attached to these people. Yeah, these people are not coming back to Earth.
Yeah, I didn't get as attached either. Yeah.
So that may be why I didn't cry, because the whole time I was like, don't get attached to anybody on the spacecraft. They are not good. It's not good, friends. Not good. But then I literally thought until there was a high, I was like, nope. So I'm glad it didn't end that way, but I was full expecting it too. I'm glad I wasn't the only one, Brooklyn. I'm glad you also fully expected.
Yeah.
We were prepared. We were prepared for devastation.
Yes.
I think the only reason I didn't okay, so let me open my book for just a moment. So the highs are on a page like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like you're going. And I was like on this page and I'm like, I'm not gonna look at the last page. I'm just gonna listen to my audiobook and let it play and be surprised if Vanessa is here. But I was like, it says a love story on the cover. We can't end a love story.
That's
with
exactly.
her
I was
just
like, it can't end like this. It
dying.
can't.
See, I was just like, it's not a rom-com. We're not guaranteed a happily ever after.
No, but she doesn't break our heart that much with her past books. There's always like, not complete devastation. There's hope at the end.
I feel like all of her main characters die.
Everybody dies.
No, I understand, but you can't like
die too. I was prepared for the worst.
There has to be a tiny bit of like good at the end, like a tiny bit, not good, but like, I mean, still traumatic situation, so no good. But there can't be like full devastation.
Yeah.
Everyone, mute me if you haven't read other Taylor Jenkins Reid's books until my hand goes down.
Well, I haven't.
Daisy, you've read Daisy Jones.
Yes, I have.
The moment when we find out the mother has died. What are you talking about? She does this to us all the time.
No, I know, but like the whole book wasn't pure devastation. There was ups and downs. If Vanessa died, there would only be devastation throughout the whole book. You wouldn't even look at it in a positive light at all. Even like the romance, you'd be like, what a waste. Like, you know what I mean?
It's not a waste if someone dies.
That was wrong wording. That was wrong wording. Sorry. No, it was just not a waste. It would feel like I got so invested in these characters, like, and then what? No happy ending.
Yeah.
I feel like it might have been more for, like, I was thinking maybe this helped Joan as a person, like her character development, and like she's more confident in herself and she was gonna, I don't know, be the person that she wanted to be but couldn't ever truly be because of all these other things going on. So that's how I was feeling, like maybe she was gonna, I don't know.
Yeah. But I am glad also, I think you're talking about Griff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
I like
because there was Hank and Griff.
There was Hank and Griff.
Heath, and no Grant.
And honestly, the fact that I remember that is shocking because I am not good with character names.
Yeah.
And there were a lot in
Barbara,
here.
but I remember the other.
You were close. If you combined,
No.
You had the right letters.
You did.
Some of the right ones.
The Grant was close. Grant was fine. I knew what you meant. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much it. That was my last question. Is there anything that I forgot to discuss that one of you would like to discuss before we end the live show?
I do have a question first.
Yes.
So you know how I haven't read all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, but I know there are references in her books to her other books.
Yes.
Did anyone notice anything in here?
No.
I haven't read them all, so
No, okay. I didn't either.
There's a Carrie Soto one.
Oh.
But I don't know. Like there's a character or something that was mentioned, but I haven't looked it up and I didn't notice it at the time.
There's a Carrie Soto one in here?
Apparently.
Let me look it up and see.
Oh,
interesting.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But
no, I believe you to be the
I believe you too. I just was curious because like I haven't read Carrie Soto, so I was like, there's a few I haven't read yet. So
I think I know who it is. Is it Daniel?
Ooh.
It's
maybe.
Daniel and Carrie Soto.
That would make sense.
Daniel and Barbara.
Is it?
Yeah, so when because they go away, did they do something? That's cool.
I'm going to look it up.
Books do that. So fun.
Now I want to read Carrie Soto because I don't know that one.
I'm not seeing anything, but I also don't want to dive too deep because I haven't read all of her books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do want to catch up on, because I have Carrie Soto and Malibu Rising to read. I've read Daisy and Seven Husbands, so.
Yeah.
I can't find it. I'm going to have to look off camera.
Yeah, I don't want to dig too deep because I'm like,
I think I might be right that they're in Carrie Soto.
Oh, interesting.
Now that you say that, I feel like that makes sense, actually. but like honestly, it's been a hot minute since I've read Carrie Soto.
Mhm.
But now that you say that, I'm like, oh, it might be Daniel and Barbara.
The same Daniel and Barbara?
Yeah. But they would have been like such side characters in Carrie Soto that they were
okay. So I was like, if
you know
these
what I
are main characters, I'm not gonna love it.
no, they're not. No. Okay, friends. Anything else before we end it? Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to the live show. Thank you, Kelsey and Brooklyn, for being our guest host this month. I mean, we couldn't do it without our teams. Me and Julie just by ourselves would not be as trust me. But we are so glad that we were all here. And we do not know when the next Genre Blank Cop Club is or what the next book is, but it'll be in about approximately 3 months. So keep an eye on our YouTubes and in all the places. Everybody is linked down below. So make sure you subscribe to everybody because everybody is amazing. And we'll see you soon. Bye.